Hello there, just figured I'd do a quick video on feeding frozen thawed today. I'm using my ball python Martouf. He's a 10-month-old Mojave yellow belly. I'm going to be feeding him a large mouse by Arctic Mice. It's what you get at PetSmart, just because that's what's closest to me usually. The mouse I'm feeding him is a little bit small for him. Usually what you want to do, I'm not going to mess with him to show you the size ratio, but I'll do that in another video. What you want to do is something that is as wide as their widest part of their body or a little bit wider. With him, I'm trying to maintain his size rather than grow him. So I'm sticking with something a little bit smaller. This mouse came out of the bag a little bit smaller than I expected it to also, so that kind of stinks. But this is just kind of to help you see what you should do. Especially if you have one that doesn't want to take frozen thawed or you've never fed frozen thawed before, just to kind of get an idea of how to help them, encourage them to think that it's alive, because that's part of the problem most of the time if they won't take the frozen thawed. Of course, always use a set of tongs. I just got a cheap pair of tongs from Myers. If you don't live in Michigan, just go to Walmart. It's kind of the equivalent. And you want to grab it by the scruff so that you can point it so that you can use its head. Some of them will come out kind of bloody. Of course, you want to make sure. I've been seeing some pictures on Facebook of people who have them. They come out with brown stuff all over them. That is part of the thing with feeding frozen thawed from a chain store rather than from a breeder that you know and trust, is that some of them will be kind of nasty, so you got to watch out for that. But when you have a snake that is a little bit more difficult to get to frozen thawed, bloody ones kind of help because it smells better. But other than that, that's about it. I've had this one sitting out for about an hour at room temperature, and then sometimes I'll just stick it in my pocket for a little while and walk around till it feels warm to the touch. You want to make sure that it's never frozen whatsoever inside of its body. You can see Martouf sticking his head out right there. He knows I'm getting ready to feed him. He's never been a picky eater. Was fed live for the first 4 months of his life, 5 months. And then I switched him directly over to frozen thawed, and he took fantastic. Fed him live once, just because it's what I had available. There's a lot of pros and cons to it, which I'll do a video on at some other point. So for now, I'll get to the point. What I'm going to do is kind of hold it in front of him and move it so it looks like it's alive. Kind of go back and forth so it gets his attention. You can see he's kind of looking at it now. I will never mess with him, open up his thing to pull him out before feeding him. Let me see, he has no issue with it. He's looking right for it. Always watch your hands, sometimes they miss. Oh, he missed. Now he's going to get nervous because he is having issues. That's why you don't want to move it around too much. Usually he doesn't struggle this bad. Come on, buddy. What you want to watch for is tongue movement, which is something that he's not doing right now. Usually that helps them with snakes that will strike defensively. I'm sorry, buddy. Especially young snakes will think that it's a predator and strike it defensively before, there he goes. Before trying to take it to eat it. You gotta watch for that tongue movement, because once they smell it, they'll know, oh, okay, this is food. Hopefully, that's the goal. Usually once he wraps it, I'll leave him be. I'll keep an eye on him. I'll shut my lights off so it gets dark in here again, and let him eat. Occasionally they'll spit it out. What you can do is either, sometimes I'll pick it back up and get him to strike it again and wrap it, and then he'll eat it. Otherwise, if you just leave it in there, eventually they'll figure it out and they'll eat it. You never want to leave it in there for too long, because, I mean, overnight might be okay as long as you take it out first thing in the morning, but you don't want it to go bad in there and then have them eat it, because that's definitely not too fun. So, I hope this is at least a little helpful. Sorry he missed a bunch of times, but, yeah, you guys have a great day.